I can't look at my keyboard because I'm only on my phone. So, but I see a little live
All
thing.
right,
So I'm going
you
to
are
assume.
live.
We're
Woo!
live. Woo woo. Sorry guys, I know we were right on the moment, but that's the way it happens around here. You know, it is true. So there it hits. So it is August. It is Quilt Babble Live with Lisa and Rona, and we wasn't sure we would have Rona, but we do have Rona, and tonight's topic is called Quilting in the UK. And Rona, I'm just going to let you take it away. Tell everybody what's happening tonight.
Well, okay. So first of all, if I start to break up or anything, I'm really sorry, but I am literally on the other side of the world on a tiny, teeny little island off the coast of Scotland called the Isle of Rona. And of course, Rona had to go to Rona to, Rona. There's Rona stuff everywhere. If you're following my Instagram, you'll see the little reel I did. Anyway. I've been after the Iceland tour, which went amazing. Iceland is absolutely phenomenal. And then I actually picked this up in Iceland, a little wool shawl thing. Then came to England. We flew to Birmingham for the Festival of Quilts, which was fascinating. And then from there, Jan, Thimbles for You, she's the silversmith. She and Jennifer and I, the Three Musketeers, we kind of decided to have a little fun. And we went down to Stonehenge for a day trip, which in the United States, when we travel, especially me, like I'm one of those people that's like, hey, it's only like 10 hours. Let's jump in the car and go. Here, most people are like, oh man, 2.5 hours. That's a long drive. And then there's Jan and Jennifer and I going, oh, that's nothing. That's 2 hours. That's an easy day trip. So we did Stonehenge and then we went to York. And on the way to York, I see this sign that says Nottingham. And so I'm like, hey, let's see where Sherwood Forest is. And so we looked on the map and it was literally on our way. Like we were going to drive right past it to get to our Airbnb. So we stopped at the Nottingham Castle, which is real. And then we stopped at Sherwood Forest and walked through the forest. And I think I took about 1 million pictures of trees. And then in York, we went to this place called the Bradford Museum, which is in an old textile mill. That'll be on the show because I did filmed some footage and took lots of pictures. So that was going centuries back when they were doing the textiles here in the UK. That was one of the mills. And you see in movies where they talk about like adults and children working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. That was where they worked, was in the mills. So the museum, it shows you the history of the unions and the working laws and stuff like that and how those changed over the years. But also you get to see all of the equipment over the years. So like their very first spinning wheels that migrated to the big machines over the years. Then you have the weaving looms and how those built over the years. And you literally see all the machines and you can see them working. It's an amazing museum. And that is it's in York. And Bradford, which is just outside of York.
So wait a minute, let's pause there just a second, because for those of you that did not watch last month, Rona was pretty much leaving us from Quilt Babble Live and hopping on a plane to 1,000,001 places outside of the US. So you just exhausted me. I can't believe you lived through all this and we haven't even got through most of your trip, but pick up where we left off last time. Tell everyone where you went first and why you were there and how they can chime in and do that next year, right?
Okay, so Iceland was first. We did 10 days in Iceland for the quilt tour. And so we landed in Reykjavik and we met up with our guide, Dorothea, who is absolutely amazing. And we hopped on a bus and we started going all the way around the country. we start in the south in Reykjavik, and we did like the major things in Reykjavik, which was the big church. There is, oh, I can't think of the name of it now, but it's a dome, and
Right.
you can see the 360 view of the entire city and the sound there and the airport and all of it. We did see the volcano. I don't know if anybody has been following that, the volcano that erupted in Iceland. It's, as far as I know, it's still going. Like the lava is still coming out. It's a fissure. So it's one of the low, long
Right.
volcanoes. So we did not go up to it, but we could see it like in the distance. And then, oh my gosh, it seems like it's been a year since we did the Iceland trip, but it's only been less than a month.
It's crazy to think how many was on the tour.
There was 18 of us total, which I think was a perfect size. And everybody on the tour seemed to agree that it wasn't really too small, but it wasn't super big either. So by the end of the trip, we were all like a family, everybody got to know each other, and it was a lot of fun. And we did get to go up to Blandjos, which is up in the north. And that is where there's a textile museum up there that had this. I wish my brain is not in Iceland anymore, so I can't think of the artist's name, but there was a collection. All of his stuff was needlepoint, but it was that heavy needlepoint with the thick yarn that they would use. And he used different types of foundation, like he used burlap and he used linen and all different kinds of stuff. And then there was another one that was in there where it was all lace. This woman, she was given a tea set, and one of her teacups is sitting in the museum, and she loved the designs on the teacup so much that she created them in lace. Wow. Like dyed the thread and everything. It was incredible. Interesting fun fact, quilting related about Iceland. Everywhere we went, we kept seeing the Ohio star.
Really?
And so the Ohio star pattern is in a lot of their traditional designs. Like the shoes that they used to wear, they would measure distance by how many pairs of shoes it would take to get to that location, because they had to walk everywhere. And so they would make these inserts to go inside the shoes to help protect their feet, because the shoes were so thin. And the inserts were made out of heavy wool. And those inserts had the Ohio star. Like that was the pattern they would put into them.
Really?
The Bank of Iceland. Yeah, the Bank of Iceland, that's their logo, is the Ohio star. It was just fascinating. And they called it the rose, is what they called it, a rose pattern. Or a 8-leaf rose. So I thought that was very interesting about Iceland. Still, yeah. And then after Blandjos, we worked our way back down to Reykjavik, and our last couple days were in the town. We did a whale watching trip. I did not go, but the majority of the group went to Sky Lagoon, not the Blue Lagoon. Everybody hears about the Blue Lagoon, but it's very touristy and not really, even Dorothea said that it's not really what it used to be. But Sky Lagoon is brand new, and it is the same type of what do they call it? Hot pots. It's not, that's what Ingo called them, was hot pots. But anyway, it's right on the ocean. So you're in this like hot sauna thing with waterfalls, and you're looking at the ocean, and everybody just, had a fantastic time. It was amazing. So we are doing that trip again next year, the exact same one, next July for next year. There are tickets available still. The seats are for sale. And then we're doing another one to England, which is just directly after the Iceland one next year. It'll be 6 days coming into London for a few days, and then one travel day up to Birmingham, and then 2 days at the Quilt Festival next year.
Now, so the link, can I get to it from your website now, Rona, to purchase tickets, or your Facebook?
Yeah. So on my website, the main page, there's a thing there about the, because I have the 2 tours and 2 quilt retreats for next year. So all 4 of those are on my website now. Everything's live. You can, all the buttons are active on the website.
Perfect.
For the tours, you can also contact US Quilt Tours directly.
Got you. Got you. So since tonight we're talking about quilting in the UK, tell us about your UK so far and everything quilty related.
Okay, well, so I'm sure the first question that I'm going to get asked is about driving in the UK. When we got off the airplane and it was like 8 o'clock at night here, and I rented the car. And again, so by the time we got into the car and onto the road, it was almost 10 o'clock at night.
Oh, wow.
And I'm not going to lie to you, I was terrified. I mean, like my insides shaking, terrified that I was going to hit somebody or I was going to crash the car or something. But no, actually, it didn't take very long to get used to it. The interstate is called the motorway here.
Right.
So it was motorway almost the entire way up to Birmingham, which was a 2-hour drive. And so it gave me time to get used to, looking to the left versus looking to the right for things. The windshield wipers still freak me out because they're going the wrong way. They're going this way instead of this. It's freaking me out. But
motorway
and
it's called motorway. That means you can speed, right?
Well, there is a speed limit. Yeah, it's not the Audubon, but yeah, it's like 60 in most places. And they do have miles per hour, not kilometers.
Oh, wow.
So,
Okay.
but yeah, 60 miles per hour. And I kept thinking everybody was going really slow. It felt slow because it's only 60. But anyway,
slow.
Birmingham, yeah. And nobody speeds here. Because in the States, if the speed limit is 60, everybody's doing 70, right? Not here. Everybody's doing 55. It's crazy. But
no wonder they don't want to take long trips. You said that they don't want to take long trips. That because it would take forever.
Yes, exactly. A 2.5-hour trip takes over 3 hours. It's crazy. Anyway, so but Birmingham was the festival, of course. So I gave 2 lectures and taught a class at festival. The festival's located in the NEC, which is I don't remember, it's national something. But the NEC is massive. And I mean, even for US standards, this place is massive. The quilt, so let's put it this way. If you've ever been to Houston, and Festival in Houston is bigger than Festival of Quilts here, but we took up halls 7, 8, and 9. So 3 halls. And the NEC, I think, has 15 halls.
Wow.
And yeah, so she said there were 203 vendors. I'm not sure how many quilts were on display, but there were multiple galleries, set up of all the quilts. And there were quilts from all over the world. I mean, literally, just every country was represented.
That's what I was getting ready to ask. And also, so like when you were looking at the quilts, was there one particular style that you typically wouldn't see in the US that you were seeing over there that you picked up on, or it was truly a good variety of techniques?
No, it was a really good variety. I mean, a really good. A lot of variations that you would see in the States. There was, everything from the classical piece to the art quilts to competition quilts, just their miniatures. All kinds of. One thing I really did like, though, is that for the competition piece, they had 3 or 4 different categories for kids.
Oh,
so
nice.
Like different age groups and stuff like that. So that was really nice to see that the kids were really
involved.
I don't know. Yeah, yeah. That was nice. And one thing I thought was interesting, the guest artists that were there, the guest quilters, were American.
Oh, really?
There was Joe, Joe Cunningham was there. He is super sweet, very laid back. Every time he was in his gallery, he was playing the guitar.
Oh, wow. Love it.
And then Denise Labate was there. She is, her quilts are the stones, the like stone formations and stuff. Her quilts were on display in Paducah for a while. I
Right.
got to meet her. She's awesome. And I got to, the one person that I was not familiar with that I got to meet, make sure I get her name right, Lamerchi Frazier. She is, I don't even know how to describe her. So she's from New Jersey, but she's got, she's heavily involved in the arts and art history, and like she's on art councils. But her quilting is very much representative of like the 60s and the civil rights movement.
Oh,
and
okay.
she's got this one quilt, that's got this giant picture of Martin Luther King, like
Oh, wow.
overlooking. It just, it's amazing. I got to do an interview with her, but we're also going to do another Zoom one later, so you guys will get to meet her and see her stuff on the show.
I can't
And
wait
then
for that.
even the National Quilt Museum in Lincoln, Nebraska, they had a gallery at the festival.
Really?
Yeah, that shocked me. But I will say the quilts that were on display were amazing. They were just, I mean, top of the line, amazing. And
Love it.
I want you to go to my Instagram. I think it's on my Facebook page, business page, and find the clock. It was a life-size, 3-dimensional working clock. And
Okay,
it was,
you keep talking. I'm going to try to pull it up and maybe screen share it. And it's on your Facebook, you said?
I think it's on my Facebook. It's definitely on my Instagram. There's a little video of the clock, and it's literally a grandfather clock, but it's all textile and it's all handmade and it's working. Like it's actual, the working clock face and everything. And it was, I'd never seen anything like it. I went back to it, I think 4 times.
Oh, nice.
Prices, if you are going to, like you want to purchase quilting fabric or anything like that, if you come to festival, prices are actually somewhat comparable. Some of the fabrics are way more expensive. Liberty is really pricey, but most of the stuff outside of course, our favorite Lewis and Irene, and outside of Liberty of London, pretty much everything else you're going to find is going to be the same that you would in the US. So like Free Spirit, Cafe, Tula, Moda, all that stuff is you're going to find, but it'll be slightly more expensive. But there were, if you want to come to festival, come for the galleries and the quilting classes, because the lecturers and the teachers that are here don't come to the States. So you're going to get to meet teachers and lecturers that you otherwise may never get to see. Like there were several from Scotland. There were several, obviously, from all over the UK. There was a lady from Spain. There was one from France. So just all kinds of different teachers that you would normally not get to learn from is here. So that would be my suggestion to, why anybody would want to come to festival. Obviously it's in the UK and you want to make a vacation out of it. So I could tell you other places to go too when you're here, not just festival.
Rona, I have not found the clock yet, but I am on your post of where you downloaded some pictures of Quilt Festival. So I am going to try to share my screen real quick, and hopefully you can see them and maybe talk about them. Hold on one second. Make sure I don't screw this up.
Okay.
I did drop a link to the reel of the clock. In the chat.
Oh, you did? Okay. Rona, can you see on the screen the pictures from your Facebook?
Yeah, I can see I can see your screen, the Queen's quilt.
Yes. Okay. I just want to make sure everybody can see it.
So that quilt was, I have the names of everybody that made the quilts. Unfortunately, I don't think it's up there with it, but that particular quilt, all of those individual sections are major events in history that she ruled through. So like Brexit, and there's, of course, the Queen's coronation. That's when she became queen.
Right.
And then all the way through to her funeral.
That is really cool. I love how it looks like newspaper stuff in the background, and then with her silhouette. That was really cool. So what about this one? This was interesting. This looks like maybe a lot of handwork and different mediums on it.
Yes. So this one was actually part of 6 pieces that were hanging together. And yeah, it's all handwork and it's all 3-dimensional. So the artist used, like you can see beads in there, and those moths are actually 3-dimensional pieces.
Yeah, you can kind of see where it's elevated.
Yeah, it was just, she did an amazing job. I only posted one of them, but I took pictures of all 6.
I thought this was interesting with the metal rings that was on it. Yeah. I was just like, okay, that was really unique and cool.
Yeah.
That was cool. Okay, so what about this one? It looks like a bajillion pieces in life.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that one really blew me away because just the sheer size of it, but all of those, it's 100% pieced. So those teeny tiny little squares are like an inch. They're
it's all log cabin, right? Just different color placements.
Yes. Yeah, it's all log cabin and flying geese, and they're flying geese made out of the log cabins.
I was gonna say, it looks like all log cabin.
Yeah, and the pineapple blocks and stuff. Yeah, that quilt had to have taken years. I was so impressed with how she kept the lines straight.
Yes, it is beautiful. Well, was that like a king size? Because it looks like it would be.
No, it was more like, I'd say, a small queen.
Really? Then that's even more impressive to know how many small log cabin blocks she has in this. That's just insane.
Yeah.
And you're right. This use of these pineapple squares in here, in different places. Whoever designed this is amazing, and whoever pieced it is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
That is gorgeous. So this was really cool. I liked this. Is this wool felt, or what is this?
No, yes, and it's multimedia. So there's wool in there. There's actual quilted cotton piece in there, and then of course the buttons and things sewn into it, beads, and the wire. So yeah, that one was right next to the clock, and I had been looking at the clock so much that I didn't even notice the flower arrangement until the second time I went back.
It's beautiful. This right here reminds me something that my friend Karen Wallach would do. Because she's very artsy, and she loves using different fibers and different items to create a quilted piece of artwork. And that's exactly when I seen this, I was like, oh my gosh, this has Karen Wallach written all over it. It's just gorgeous.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Absolutely.
Like I said, there was a lot of talent on the floor that was just incredible, even stuff that I haven't posted yet. Right. But so this one, okay, this is just the top. This was a full size. When you walk up to it, you're eye level with the mirror. Wow. And the mirror says, "I did not deserve all of the mean things I said to me." Wow. And it was just, that literally made me stop. And it was very, well, reflective.
Yes.
Double entendre there, but yeah, and that again was also a quilted piece that was, like 7 feet tall, 6 feet tall. It's like I said, when you walk up, the mirror is at eye level. So it was, yeah, not something that you would expect.
Right. The embroidery on this is amazing. And I will tell you, this fabric, this background fabric here, it's so cool. When I initially seen this, I thought that was leather, but then I realized it's not leather.
No, it's just textured. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. And all
Gorgeous.
Definitely not something you see every day with EPP. That's for sure.
Yeah,
all
no, that was absolutely gorgeous. I just thought that was very unique and very cool, to say the least.
Yeah.
This piece, my word, just once again, the use of the quilt blocks and dimension.
Yeah. The more you stare at that piece, the more you see. Because if you notice, the border is all 9-patch.
Yep.
But it matches everything that's going on in the center of the quilt. And it was just, I mean, yeah, I kept staring at that thing. I don't even know how long. It's amazing.
Well, it is just whoever created the skew, using this flying geese as an example, starting out with a big flying geese, and then you're working your way down to give this road look with, all the other blocks. It really just, this was really nice use of fabric. It's just all blenders, really.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and it's all pieced. Well, except for the tree and the sheep was, I think, applique, if I remember correctly. But the rest of it, it's all pieced. It was just outstanding.
It's beautiful. I just want to know how long it took someone to find that many different color green fabrics.
Yeah, I want to know. I wish they would put, like, in the display things where they say, who did it and the inspiration and the name. I really wish they would put in there how long it took them to make it, because some of those, had to have taken years. I mean, just figuring out the math alone on that quilt to get those angles.
Well, the bigger thing on this too, Rona, is this looks like a small wall hanging. So the pieces of fabric would be really tiny when you get back into this section of the quilt.
Yeah, it is definitely a wall hanging size, but it's not it would be a large wall hanging, but it's not a bed quilt. Yeah.
Right. No, definitely. But I was taking it by the size of these little paper tags on the side. Using, what I typically know the size of a tag is at a quilt show compared to that. So I was like, okay, these people are crazy, but they're amazingly talented.
Can you zoom in on the name of that one? Because if I remember correctly, that one had a really cool name.
Unfortunately, because I'm doing it on Facebook, it only allows me to zoom straight in. I can't to the side.
Okay. Yeah, because it's something like it's something like the sower on his way to sow, or something like that, but spelled both ways, SOW and SEW. It's a really neat name. A lot of these quilts had really great names.
It's really cool.
Like my favorite one, I haven't posted it yet, but there's one that was one of the kids' quilts that won. It said "Stay Weird," and her last name was Weird. Like, literally, that's her last name. WIERD. It was fantastic. Yeah, this one just, I don't know. I just love everything about it.
Modern on a whole new level, right?
Yeah, it's 3-dimensional. It's like organized chaos, which my brain loves.
This is 3-dimensional?
Yeah, if you look at it, no, not physically, but it looks 3-dimensional.
Yes,
yeah.
Okay, I'm with you. Yeah, the illusion of.
Yeah, correct. Right.
Yeah, it's, once again, fabric placement, getting the right blues in the right places. This right here in itself is color theory lesson.
Yeah.
All the way around.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wish that I could, that's one of the quilts that I wish I could meet the creator, because the artist, because I'd love to just pick their brain. Like, how did this come about? You know, because the only thing that was on there was the name and who made it. And that was really it. There was no description about what inspired it or anything. And I would love to know that on that one. Where did that come from?
In a way, I think of computer guts, you know, or like information being translated, but then I'm like, kind of looks like eyes coming out of the deep blue. I don't know. I'm like you.
It looks like something, to me, it looks like something that's like pushing its way out from the center. Yeah, I would love to talk to whoever created that. Yeah.
That's fabulous. Okay, now I think Steve said he put me, let me go out.
There's a link, I think, he said to the
yeah, let me go to, you know, I'm careful of what I'm hitting because God knows I will screw it up.
Weird.
I know, I don't want to like end anybody tonight, but it could happen. Oh, chat, there we go. Let's see. Can you see that, Rona?
Oh, that's it. That's it. That's the clock. That's the side of it. You see the detail. That's just one side. And then the video will circle around to the front and you can see the front of it. And like I said, it was all handmade, 100, except for the inner workings, like the face, the clock face and the moving parts.
Right.
Everything else was made out of fabric and textile.
That is beautiful. Absolutely.
Isn't that crazy? Even the clock face there is all textiles.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, like I said,
like this in like an artsy category or something.
No, so this was this year was the festival's 20th anniversary, their 20th year. And so they had a section or a gallery in the back that was all of the past winners. And this one, if I remember correctly, won in either 2014 or 2016. I can't remember. But yeah, so this was one of the winners. Shocker, right?
Yeah, this is.
I feel like that would be a no question, no contest.
Yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous. I would love to know what they used for the body, you know, like if it's foam under there, like what give it stability.
Right.
It's just gorgeous.
Yeah, because it obviously stands up on its own weight. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look at the handwork there and the vines. Oh, it's just, it's gorgeous. I love the spookiness of it too. Like,
yeah, the details in it just kept, I mean, everywhere you look, there's a new detail. That's why I kept going back to it, because every time I went back, I'd see something new.
Yeah. Oh, I bet. That was absolutely gorgeous for sure. So with them having that many quilts and stuff at that festival, how long did it really take you to kind of go through that? Like, what should someone plan if they go?
Okay, so if you're going to go to festival, make sure that you're there all 4 days, because festival is 4 days, not 3. And it is worth all 4 days, especially if you're going to take any lectures or classes, which, like I said, highly recommend. Just walking the vendor floor, I felt like I had walked it 4 times and I still didn't see everything because there were so many vendors. But I was also spending a lot of time in with the quilts in the different galleries. So they have it like festival, you have all of the vendors are in one part, and then all of the quilts are in another part. But one thing I really liked about festival here is that it was all broken up. So the vendors were all in the 7 and 8 hall. However, it was broken up by galleries and that were kind of intermixed. So you'd have a group of vendors and then a gallery, and then a group of vendors and a gallery. So it was all spread apart, which I really liked. And then in hall 9, that was where all of the majority of the quilts were, like the competition quilts, the winners that, well, no, the winners were, anyway, it was all intermixed together, which I really liked, because it really broke things up and you felt like you were getting to see everything, you know?
Not, yeah, I was gonna say not too much of one thing. Now, earlier you mentioned Lewis and Irene. Was our good buddy Brian over there, or I didn't get to ask
No.
if he went?
So no, I didn't see Brian, but Brian is very well known. So I found this booth that is a quilt shop, and please forgive me, I don't remember the name. I have their card back there, but they're right next to Lewis and Irene's factory. And their headquarters, which is outside of London. They're down in the south. Anyway, I went up to them because they had a bunch of Lewis and Irene and fabrics, and I wanted to get some of their, what's it called? It's not bumblebees. What's it called?
Bumbleberries.
Thank you. That. I wanted to get some of that because I'm working on hand project, and it was, anyway, so I told them why I was in town and that I was trying to get in touch with Lewis and Irene to do an interview with them. And of course, and they're like, oh, so you know Brian. Well, of course I know Brian.
Who doesn't know Brian?
And then, so the guy that I was talking to, another girl came up, and I don't remember why, but then she brought up Brian. She knew who, I mean, everybody knows Brian. He's like, I don't know, everybody's friend here, which I thought was fantastic. I'm like, so that's just like home. He's everybody's friend at home too.
Now that definitely would give you a little homesick moment because you're like, oh.
Yeah, so that was fun. But Lewis and Irene was not there. Like they
Really?
didn't have their own booth. No, but the quilt shops did.
Gotcha.
Like some of the quilt shops that carry their fabric. And oh, this I thought was interesting. So Liberty of London, they did have a booth there. It was right up front when you first walk into the vendor hall, or the hall 8, whatever it is. But they were not selling fabric.
I
They
was
were
going to ask, did you grab any?
No. So I will be going to Liberty, going to the actual store when I'm back down in London. But so their booth, they were showcasing their new fabrics, the newest fabric line, but it was in finished products. So like quilts and pillows and things.
Yeah.
And then they had the catalog. That was it. They weren't selling anything.
Wow.
But they had a list of all of the shops that and the vendor booths that were at festival where you could buy fabric.
Good for them. That
Right?
is.
So they're not competing with, yeah.
Love it. Oh, that's fabulous. That's really nice.
I thought that was really cool. So other tips if you're going to come to festival, the where to stay, there are several hotels that are right next to the NEC. Stay there. Unless you want to drive in Birmingham, which I don't suggest you do, because it is very narrow streets. And people in the US, we have driving lanes and parking lanes where right on the side of the road where you park, but it's not in the driving lane, it's separate. Not here. Here they have driving lanes and curbs, and they will park half on the curb and half in the lane. So you have to go into oncoming traffic to go around the cars.
Oh my gosh.
So if you don't want to face that nightmare, I highly suggest staying at the hotels that are right next to the NEC. They do have Uber and taxis. They have those here that you can use. So it's really easy to get around. And there's, of course, the public transportation, the buses and trains is really, really good. So you really don't need a car if you're just going to come for like the festival and doing stuff right around one general area. Food, there is a ton of things it is very Americanized. I was a little surprised. Like in the NEC was Starbucks, Subway, KFC. Yeah, and the menu is mostly like ours, but not exactly. But it's still enough that it's makes you feel like you're still at home.
Right.
But the money situation, if you pay for anything that has a VAT tax on it, save your receipt, because you can turn it in at the airport before you leave the country and you can get it refunded.
I was
think
getting ready to ask you about money. So
yeah, I actually have some. You want to see it? I actually pulled it out. This is what their money looks like. If you've never seen British
Oh, wow.
money, so this is a 10-pound note as the front and then the back. And it feels like plastic. It doesn't feel like our paper.
Yeah.
Because our paper is fibrous. This actually feels like plastic. It's kind of interesting.
So
And the
what
notes,
is the cost, Rona? I'm sorry. What is the cost to kind of get into festival? What can people
Oh.
expect, like, compared to US dollars, because we don't know pounds and all that, but like the cost to get into festival, what's a typical hotel stay, food, is it very comparable to here, or?
so no, it's more expensive. You're going to pay more money. The classes are about the same. Like I would say they're about the same as what you would pay for a class in the US. But keep in mind the exchange rate, because like right now, I think it's roughly $1 British pound is $1.30 US.
Okay.
I think it's roughly, but it fluctuates, of course, every day. So you got to keep that in mind. If you're looking at something that, like say, I'm trying to remember what the actual cost was for the all-day workshop.
That's what I was gonna say.
I want to say it was
asking
roughly
that
around
is
90
okay.
90 pounds. So
that's
that
about
would be like
50.
no, 90 pounds would probably be about 120 US.
Okay.
That's for an all-day class.
Yeah.
And I think that's about right for the national size quilt shows. Those are more expensive. But the hotel rates and stuff are about trying to remember, it's about the same, because we paid for the Hampton, I think we paid somewhere around it was about the same, about 120 a night. But the taxes are different too.
Okay.
So in the US, you have regular taxes that you would pay. So like if a room is $100 a night, you're probably going to pay like 120 with taxes, or 115, whatever, with taxes and fees and all that stuff. So they don't have as many fees, but they will have a VAT tax. Anything that is, I believe, over 100 pounds will have a VAT tax. And the VAT tax here is 20%.
Oh, holy.
So yeah. So what if it's 100 pounds, it's going to be 120 with the VAT. So like I said, save those receipts.
And okay, and I'm not a world traveler, so I'm going to show my ignorance. What is VAT tax stand for? Like in my head, I'm thinking of Vatican. What is the VAT tax?
So it's a value added tax is what it stands for. So, and most European countries have a VAT tax. The percentage varies. But yeah, it's like, I know Ireland has it and Iceland has it. Iceland was higher in that it was anything over 300, I think, krona. Their currency is the Icelandic krona, which is weird because every time somebody mentioned money, I thought they were calling my name, because they don't really pronounce the K. It just comes out Rona.
Hello.
Yeah, like what? Oh, not me. Okay.
You just thought you was popular over there.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So yeah. But yeah. That's the
figured it would
money
be more
situation.
Yeah, I figured it would be more expensive over there. So if someone is planning a trip, I would never even know about what you're talking about, like the VAT tax or all of this, to even plan for those extras. Like I said,
I will
food,
tell
I
you this.
figured was more expensive.
Yeah, the food is definitely more expensive. The one tip that I will give for at least while it lasts, if you are coming to England, stay in an Airbnb if you can, because in the States, with all of the fees and cleaning fees and all that, the Airbnbs, whatever the price is, you're going to pay double that with all of the taxes and the fees added. But in the UK, they don't have that right now on the Airbnbs. So whatever the price is, that's the price. There's no added on extras, which works out to be cheaper than an Airbnb, because like all of outside of Birmingham and this island, that's all I'm staying in is Airbnbs, because
That's what I was getting ready
it's
to
so
ask.
much
Was you in
cheaper.
a Airbnb right now?
No, this is so the Isle of Rona. It's a very, very small island, and there's the curators that live at the lodge here on the island. And then there are 2 cabins that you can rent, and you rent them by the week. So it's Saturday to Saturday. And I am in the escape cabin. And then my neighbor, which is a very fun family, mom, dad, 2 girls, they are in the mission cabin that is just kind of down the hill from me. So yeah, but it's 2-bedroom, little living room area, kitchen, laundry, yeah, mud room. It's full working cabin.
Well, that's really cool. So what we didn't say, guys, when we started this episode, but Rona and Steve and I talked about this before we went live. So where Rona is right now, it is what time, Rona?
What time is it your time?
We are 7:48.
So it's 12:48 in the morning. It's almost 1 a.m. The UK is 5 hours ahead of the East Coast, 8 hours ahead of the West Coast, which is fun because I have like a 3-hour window that I can talk to my family in Washington and Nevada.
So all of you viewers tonight, we definitely want to say thanks to Rona for being up with us this late. She thought this was a good idea a month or 2 ago. I'm not sure if she thinks it's a good idea tonight, since it is almost 1 a.m. for her. But and I have to giggle at the time too, Rona, when you ask me what time it is, because 7:48. So we also talked, because it was so late for Rona tonight, that maybe we would put Quilt Babble live to only 30 minutes instead of an hour. And here we are almost at the end of the hour. And as you can see, Rona and I have not stopped babbling. So
No. One other thing I do want to mention, because I get asked about this too, is about quilt shops, of course.
yeah.
There are quilt shops. There, Iceland, there really are not. There are a couple, but they're like in somebody's garage, basically. But in the UK, Scotland, England, they're all over. There are actual brick and mortar quilt shops. But again, it's a lot like what you're going to find in the US outside of Lewis and Irene and Liberty. But I still suggest going in and talk to them, because there's different styles and different classes and all that kind of stuff. Also, there's craft store. So I needed to get batting for these little English paper piecing things that I'm doing, because they're quilt as you go. So I went to, I think it was called the Craft Shop. And it's basically like between Michael's and Joann's.
Okay.
So it was Michael's with a little bit more fabric, or Joann's with like half, but their quilting section was about this big, like the quilt pies. There was like one little thing in the aisle. That was it.
Wow.
So that saddened me a little bit, but And if you are looking for grocery shopping, ASDA is actually owned by Walmart, and it is basically Walmart, just with more food than household stuff.
Right.
And Best Buy, if you need anything electronic, like for your phone or your laptop or whatever, Curry is the shop. See, just like the spice, Curry, that is Best Buy.
Now,
So
don't you, speaking of that, when you're traveling, and I could be wrong because I'm going off of mom's been outside the country, but don't you have to have like certain adapters for your electronics when you're,
yes,
okay,
yes. So I have it's in the other room. You can get these adapter sets, which is what I have. I have 2 of them, and it is every adapter for all of the major countries.
Oh,
So
perfect.
like Iceland, England, Ireland, they all have different adapters. But yeah, I have 2 sets of them, one for my phone, one for my laptop. But yeah, definitely you want to have the adapters, because otherwise, your stuff will blow up. You don't want to kill your phone.
Right. And also, guys, tonight, wherever Rona's at, she doesn't have Wi-Fi. And I know that's crazy. We say that when we're in the mountains here, but she's on this island with no Wi-Fi.
I mean,
Crazy.
who would have thought a remote little island off the coast of Scotland has no Wi-Fi? I mean, come on.
Well, one would hope there would be Wi-Fi, but
Oh, no, there's not.
no. So real quick, we have about 8 minutes. You mentioned earlier about Stonehenge, and I know you mentioned before that you were working on a quilt called Stonehenge, and you're doing things for a secret squirrel project. Is there anything you can tell us about Stonehenge and your project or anything?
Well, I can tell you that the quilt Stonehenge is with me. In fact, I'm looking at it across the room over there. And we did take the quilt to, we did take it to Stonehenge, and we took some amazing photos. The wind, because if you've never been, Stonehenge is in a wide open field. And so the wind that goes through there is crazy. But Jan and Jennifer were each holding a side of the quilt, and we were trying to hold it up, but the wind kept pushing it like at a horizontal angle. So I told them, just hold it there. And I got down on the ground and I took pictures of the quilt up like this, and then Stonehenge right underneath it.
Wow.
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Yeah. And so I don't know when I'm going to start sharing those photos, but after I get back, I'll be able to start working on the book itself, and we'll start getting out advertisement pictures. And yeah, so I'm trying to think if I can actually, hang on, give me 2 seconds.
Y'all, I keep asking and begging for information about the Stonehenge, but she doesn't give anything up, as you can see. Minimal information.
Okay,
Uh-oh.
I will. Okay, so this is the quilt. This is the back of the quilt. I'll give you a little, here, where's the corner? So you can see a little bit of, it's all folded up. So here's like a sneak peek of a little bit of the design. So
right here on Quilt Babble Live, guys, just saying, first sneak peek.
So yeah, it's a circular design, but it's all straight pieced. There's no arcs in this entire quilt. So I'm going to be teaching this quilt at, like I said, there's 2 retreats next summer. One is in Oklahoma in June, and one is in North Carolina in July. They're 4-day retreats where I'm going to show you everything on making this quilt and kind of getting that 3D look to your quilts. And also, of course, creating circles without actually stitching circles. So,
which is fabulous. Anybody that's attempted circles, you either love them or you hate them.
Yeah. So yeah, Stonehenge was amazing. Just, yeah, it's a pretty magical place, and there's ravens everywhere.
Really?
And there's you can only walk on a certain path, right? You can't go up to the stones anymore unless you pay for it, and you pay to go up there.
Wow.
But anyway, it's like the ravens know where that line is that people can't cross, because I watched a couple of them. If they thought that there were people getting too close to them, they would fly right behind that line, and then they were fine. They'd just, pick around like normal.
Wow. You sound like you have had so many great adventures and memories since our last Quilt Babble. And here in Rock Hill, South Carolina, SewEndipitious, we've had some fun, but nothing like that. Our biggest adventure that's getting ready to happen, Rona, is, which I'm sure you know, is we're getting ready for the All Carolina Shop Pop. That starts September the 1st. So we are actually kind of excited about that, because at SewEndipitious we have just a wee little bit of a surprise. And so yeah, but that's nothing like all of this amazingness that you're talking about, for sure. Definitely.
And I didn't even get to any of the details about Nottingham or Sherwood Forest or York or Leeds. Oh my gosh, don't ever drive in Leeds. If you're going to go to Leeds, which is just, the buildings, if you like old buildings, that's the place to go. Don't drive. Park your car somewhere and take a bus, because that was the only time driving that I thought I was going to have a panic attack. I went down the wrong way on a road. I was in places that was only for buses. It was a nightmare.
Listen, you're the traveling quilter. You're not supposed to be having these issues.
The GPS on the car was yelling at me that I was going I'm not supposed to be driving here. Jan was looking for a parking space, and I'm yelling at Jan, get me out of here. You can laugh now, but at the time I about had a panic attack.
I bet. Okay, so we've got 3 minutes. Tell us where you're headed next and what we could potentially see you posting on your page for the next couple of weeks.
Well, as soon as I get back to Wi-Fi, which hopefully will be next week, I can resume posting stuff. And I'm still going to be posting more pictures from the quilt show, like the different exhibits and galleries that I mentioned, and the winners' quilts. And then, so from here, I'm going to Lewis and Harris, which is the Isle of Harris, is where Harris tweed comes from. Also, there's an old historical stone monument that's older than Stonehenge that's out there.
Wow.
And then I'll be going to Fort William and Glencoe, which is just amazing. There's I own a square foot of land in Scotland. It was gifted to me. And it's this really cool program that they have here. They have one in Ireland too that helps preserve historical monuments and land in the countries. So I'm going to be showcasing that, and I'm going to get to go stand on my little plot.
I love it.
And then, let's see, then from there I go to Edinburgh, and we'll be doing some quilt shops there. I've got, Project Linus. If you are familiar with Project Linus in the US, they have one here in the UK, and I get to go and sit in with them while they're making Project Linus quilts and get to interview everybody.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Yeah, and then I will end up down in London. Oh, and I'm going to go to the American Museum in Bath. And then down in London will be, of course, going to Lewis and Irene, hopefully, and then Liberty of London. And then back to Stonehenge to do some actual filming this time. And then I've got I don't even know how many interviews set up for designers that you guys are going to love. I cannot wait to introduce you to these people. In fact, one of them, she has a little boat. Literally, she lives on a boat, and her sewing studio is a little boat that's attached to her houseboat.
Oh my goodness. I don't think I could sew and float. I would be so nauseous. My vertigo would hate me.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see her little boat. It's
That would really be cool.
This show, so the show that I'm filming right now, all of this starts airing in January, and then of course the book is going to come with it, and then that's going to be in Rock Hill at SewEndipitious next April. And yeah, so stay tuned because there's all kinds of stuff coming.
I'm telling you, Rona, Steve said it before we went on the air. I'm going to say it again before we get off. You look so relaxed, so happy. You are in your element. You are truly the traveling quilter. I mean, I just don't know how you have energy for all of this and going to the different time zones and still functioning. Heck, I just went up to Smoky Mountains this weekend and I feel jet lag and I was never even on a plane and it was the same time zone. Like, I don't know how you do it, but you look amazing. And, you know,
Oh, thank you.
so honored that you share these journeys with us. And for those of us that can't travel all the places you do, we get a little look inside, and that's just fabulous. Thank you for dedicating your life to traveling quilting.
Oh, I do it because one, I love to travel, but two, because I want to be able to introduce you guys to the people and the places and the history that you may not otherwise get to know about. And hopefully that inspires more quilting and more art and more things in your life as well.
Absolutely. I absolutely love it. And I love you. I can't wait to get back in the States, though. It's bad enough you left me from the Carolinas, but now you've really left the country and your presence is missed. There was a couple of ladies in the shop the other day that was going on about your posts. And did you see Rona this? And did you see Rona that? And I'm like, yeah. And they were like, you know, I'm still so sad she's not here. And I'm like, she's coming back. She's coming back. We're plotting a trip for her. She doesn't even know it, but she's going to be back in the Carolinas. So I just want you to know everybody is missing you and they love them some Rona. So for now, but guys, we will be back here once again next month for the third Tuesday of the month for Quilt Babble Live with Lisa and Rona. Don't ask us the topic yet because Rona's in another country, and yeah, just don't ask yet.
Yeah, and but I will be back in the States for the next one. So yeah, I'll be back in North Carolina. I'll be back in Indiana for the next one.
Maybe it will be North Carolina. Maybe that was a slip. You never know. It's like a see into the future. I'm just saying. Love it. Guys, have a great night. We will see you soon. And Rona, thank you once again for coming to us from the Isle of Rona.
Bye, guys. Bye.